You're like 12 people on the entire planet who understand this stuff and aren't just bullshitting their way through conference presentations. So just explain it to me like I'm a deeply skeptical CFO who just read one article about correlation versus causation and now thinks I understand everything. How does this work?
Sure. So while at times I'm sure it feels like sort of data divination, it shouldn't, right? So incrementality all comes from the field of causal inference, which in nearly every field outside of advertising, from biology to economics to social science, is sort of foundational, except for marketing. I think there's a lot of people kind of pushing forward a more foundational view of causal inference within marketing. But the really simple definition is it all hinges on causality and frameworks that allow you to infer causality under certain conditions with certain assumptions. And the big, big deficit with last touch attribution is it doesn't allow you to claim or infer causality. In fact, there's been about 20 years of research into click-based attribution and comparing it to incrementality. And every single one of those studies came to the same conclusion, which is there's no connection whatsoever between last touch attribution or click-based attribution and incremental sales or incremental impact.
So why are people using 8-balls, like magic 8-balls still?
Yeah. So I was told really early on in my advertising career that media dollars follow easy. Like, don't fight it. Last touch attribution ROAS is easy. It's available everywhere. It's easy to understand. It's easy to explain. It's easy to do. I don't think there are good incentives in place to drive people to do the hard thing. I've seen plenty of organizations that are KPI'd in gold on last touch ROAS. So, if we want to change, we often change incentives as well to force people to do the right thing, or at least incentivize the right behavior as well.
So here what keeps me up at night, and maybe you can shed some light on this mystery. Why do incredibly intelligent people, and I mean people with advanced degrees, years of experience, ability to build complex things, et cetera, why do these obviously smart humans cling to objectively terrible metrics with the type of devotion usually reserved for a toxic romantic relationship?
So there's definitely the easy component for sure.
Right.
The other component I do think is organizational, right? Last touch attribution and ROAS often paint a pretty rosy picture of advertising
Right.
contribution to the business. And there's job security to that for sure, right? So
Yeah, I
again,
ran this ad, someone clicked on it, and now I got $1 million of sales from one person.
exactly. Now, without a doubt, that's probably a very, very naive view of how advertising is contributing to the growth of the business. But
Right.
if I'm looking to drive a promotion, to get a bigger budget, last touch attribution is certainly an easy metric to game.
Is there like a support group for these people? Like, hi, my name is Dave, and I've been optimizing for last click for the last 6 years.
I haven't been invited to it. I feel like it would be more of an intervention than a support group.
Have you staged an intervention? Like you pulled someone aside and you're like, listen, this is toxic. We need to talk.
I've done that. Like we both know this is BS, right? Like, can we get to the real stuff? So I have certainly had a few too honest conversations after a martini or two on the topic.
And are you ever invited to Google after party?
I've yet to be, but I don't know if this is what's holding me back.
So if we could, this might be a thought experiment or it might just be therapeutic or terrifying. If we woke up tomorrow and every attribution model in existence vanished, poof, gone, deleted from every server, wiped from every dashboard, what actually happens? Does marketing as an industry completely collapse?
Yeah. So I think there's a strong case to be made that our obsession with measurement is maybe taking us away from the fundamentals. And this is coming from someone who spent their entire career in measurement. There's like some truth to the old adage, like when a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. So if attribution went away overnight, and we all walk up tomorrow and we're trying to figure out how to run our businesses, we'd have to fall back on the good fundamentals. And for me, that's always the P&L. Like,
Right.
Side attribution metrics, whatever your marketing KPIs are saying, fundamentally, is your business growing or shrinking? P&L cannot lie to you. So I think we'd fall back on the fundamentals. And in some cases, that may be a better navigational tool.
So what percentage of marketing budget do you think is just optimizing towards garbage metrics? I want an actual number.
A very specific number. So what the US digital media market is what? 250, 300 billion or something like that, like ballpark, half of it. I think, most organizations do have sophisticated measurement programs, even at the macro level. I think the big fundamental problem is when you actually look at hands and fingers on keyboards buying media. The algorithms and the media platforms actually executing changes to budgets and bids and optimizing it, almost all of them are building that optimization around some flavor of last touch attribution. And that for me is the scary part, because you're now automating and ingraining really bad decision making into algorithms and rules.
So if measurement defines truth in marketing, and we've reached this place where the numbers on the dashboards are more real than actual humans we're supposedly trying to reach, is this like some golden age of insight and understanding?
I don't know if it's a golden age. It's certainly gotten, I often think about retail media and then all the early mistakes we made in digital media when it comes to measurement. The over-reliance, click, right? A heavy reliance on that form of attribution. We're definitely still repeating the mistakes of our past. I don't know if we're like in a full-blown collective hallucination about it, but it's still lingering for sure.
So apparently retailers woke up one morning, they looked at Amazon's quarterly earnings report and said, hey, we have customers too. And every grocery chain in America now has a media company. So here's my question. What is the most absolutely delusional, complex, untethered from reality myth about retail media that you wish would go extinct immediately?
That retail media is only media. And this is one of those things I've like come to appreciate, I think, more and more.
What is it? If it's not media, what else is it?
I think it's like this platypus, right? It's shoppable media in particular. If you just think of like a listing on Amazon or Walmart, pick your retailer.
How is it like a platypus?
Like a Frankenstein, it's not a mammal, but kind of a mammal, right? Like
Right.
it lays eggs. It quacks like media, but lays eggs. I've stretched this analogy perhaps too far, but there are elements of commerce embedded in it. The listing includes price, promotions, ratings, and reviews. It's embedded within a biddable ad format. There's a decent argument to claim that like search in digital media is just space on a digital shelf that's biddable, so it's closer to distribution than advertising. I think it's more complex than just saying it's advertising, it's media. It's just like any other format.
Right. Everyone knows what Amazon is doing, but can you name another retailer that you think is actually getting it right? Someone who both understands that being good at retail media requires being genuinely excellent at both retail and media?
But I think, beyond Amazon, who's had, a head start on a lot of folks, Walmart has, I think, done a fantastic job of closing that
Right.
gap the last 5 years. But actually, I think there's some real tension right now between running both a media business and a retail business, right? And when you start making more money off of the advertising around a product than selling the product itself, that's a hard balancing act. And if you throw, the consumer's experience as sort of the third leg of the stool, that's a hard thing to balance. So I think, Walmart and a bunch of others have done a fantastic job of standing up massive media businesses effectively overnight. But I do think at an industry level, there is a tension between balancing these three sort of constituencies: the retail business, the media business, and of course the consumer.
So do you think this could be replicated, or just like a lightning at a bottle moment?
This like explosive growth of retail media?
No, but replicated what Walmart does with other media companies, with other retailers.
I think other large retailers of like that kind of tier one scale could. I don't know how like the mid to long tail of retailers competes, right? The amount of CapEx that has to go into standing up a media business.
Like you don't think Five Below could do this, maybe?
Not on their own, right? But, there's all these plays with, well, do we aggregate them together, right? Like a little open web play. If you aggregate them together, you build a network of a certain scale, then it becomes a bit more interesting. But, on their own, this mid to long tail is in a really difficult position.
I think I've asked this before, but why hasn't a credit card processor done this? Like Clover or something?
Yeah. Well, I think, didn't MasterCard spin up a retail media business? And I feel like most of them had audience business for some. Everything's a retail media network now, right?
Right. So let's talk a little bit about the elephant in the room that everyone's politely ignoring. Are brands actually gaining any leverage or strategic advantage through retail media? Or, I'm just going to throw this out there, are they essentially renting their own customers back for retailers at a 300% markup while smiling through gritted teeth because they have no choice?
Yeah. I think this was the same argument we made against like Google like 15, 20 years ago, right? You're just renting.
It's still the same argument again.
Yeah.
I think every single person who bids at Google thinks that, am I just bidding against myself?
Right.
Am I just buying my own traffic back, my own name?
Yeah.
It's like when I run my own name, I'm always amazed all the ad companies that put ads under my name. It cracks me up.
So similar, having a very unique name.
Right.
Googling it makes it an interesting play. But to get back to your question, I think there are two sides to it. So on one side, ad loads across RMNs have increased. So that means advertisers now are having to buy space that 2, 3 years ago they were getting organically, right? On the flip side, these advertisers now have a lot more control over it, right? They have at their disposal tools and a powerful set of first party, retailer data at scale that allows them control in a biddable fashion, both their place on the digital shelf and then activate that kind of full funnel offsite as well. So yeah, they're probably kind of renting some of it back, but now they've got control and tools that extend beyond what they had before.
So here's a question that caused absolute chaos if anyone actually did it. What if every retail media network had to be completely transparent tomorrow? Real data, real methodology, real match rates, real attribution logic, real everything, full disclosure, no black boxes, no proprietary algorithms. No, we can't share that for competitive reasons.